I'm here to talk about a book that is actually up for pre-order and will still be pre-order whenever this video should go up. But it's called Rising Up by Liva? Not quite sure how to say that, but it's one of those probably. I'll put the description in the description so you can check that out. Basically, this story follows Greg, and he is a single dad. He goes on a dating website, finds this girl named Serena, and is focusing on Piggy. Piggy, you're the center of attention. How does it make you feel? Yes, I thought. I'm always super skeptical with books that have politics and also have mental disorders wrapped up all in the story, because a lot of times it's not well done, and it's done in a way that is harmful or offensive in a bad way, if that makes sense. Most of the time I do read books that do not agree with my views or beliefs, so I've come to learn how to approach them from a analytical mind view instead of emotional. I have to sneeze again. Anyway, we follow Greg and Serena's relationship, and we watch as it progresses. And it's good in the beginning, and then it turns sour because she starts going hot and cold and starts just acting kind of crazy. I love the relationship with Greg and his friends. That is something that I think you should really strive for. I love that he has two different people he can go to instead of just one and having to rely on that one person. I also love how different the friends are. It adds variety and it adds roundness to the world, the characters, and the events. It is a story about a toxic relationship, not just from one side, but kind of from both. Greg puts her up on a pedestal and is like, oh my gosh, she's amazing and wonderful, and I have to sneeze again, and I just love her so much, and he falls head over heels for her like almost immediately. But there is a little part in him that's like, something about her is not vibing. And they actually talk about it way later in the book when he's talking to his friend who's actually a psychiatrist, and like there was something in him that knew that something was wrong with her, or something that didn't mesh with him, something intuitive. Serena ends up having like a personality disorder and narcissism, definitely. This thing is kind of based on narcissism and all that, and it's super interesting to go into the specifics of that. It's cool to see the philosophers being brought up, the different literature being brought up to support claims or to explain what's happening while also not dragging you down, bogging you down, or you getting lost in the subject because it's so nuanced, I guess. This isn't at all like that. Also, I really enjoy how the narrator feels impartial and it's like, yeah, here are these people, this is what's happening, and this is what they believe, and all this stuff. And it's really cool to see. Going back to the toxic thing, Serena is hot and cold, definitely bipolar. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it's what's bad about it is she doesn't know how to approach it, communicate, and she doesn't know how to inform the other person about what's going on in her head. She just automatically snaps at him or yells at him or explodes, or she gets super cold and distant and all that. And as someone who struggles with these kind of things, not necessarily saying I'm bipolar, I'm sure all girls are, just kidding. I'm not saying she's a monster or she is a bad person. She is just terrible at communicating or even talking about things that are close to her heart. She has trauma. He has trauma. That kind of gets in the way. That influences their relationship and the way they approach and are with one another. And I believe a healthy relationship is a mixture of you and your partner coming to terms with that trauma, figuring it out either on your own or with each other, and growing from there. Learning how to communicate with the other person. I feel like I've always been good at communicating, but I've gotten a lot better over the past year, 2 or 3 past years. Because I want the other person to know what's going on in my head. I don't want them just being like, wow, why are you so emotional and moody all of a sudden? It's like, okay, I hit my elbow on this door, my headphones got caught on the door as well, and I almost slipped in the kitchen, and I'm just overwhelmed or frustrated, and I want to be able to communicate that. I don't want to just be like, oh, you should know, or not even just say anything. That being said, they are both very well flawed. It is very well done. I appreciate that level. The rose-tinted glasses and the sometimes I just don't like you and so I'm gonna take it out on you. That's very much the issue, the base of it with both of them. Yes, Serena was very much more in fault, I believe, because Greg did reach out and be like, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? Can I help? Whatever. And she's like, shut up, go away, blah, 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 blah. I don't think she actually says that in the book. I don't remember her saying that actually, but like that's her attitude. and he is finding these things out about her that he's like, oh gosh. And then towards the end, it's just like he's doing these things for her, or he's just dealing with it. And it's one of those relationships that, let me start by saying, I don't like boomer humor with marriage. I absolutely hate it in my core. Like, oh, I gotta get back to the old ball and chain. Like, what the frick? The things that I have heard adult men and women say about their husband or wife drive me insane. I'm like, why did you even get married to that person? What is the point of staying with them if you're just gonna talk trash about them behind their back and to their face? It is terrible, and I feel like if these two people would have stayed together, it would have ended up like that, and they would have not been happy. They would have just been settling because they're like, oh, this is great. Whenever we do things together, this is the best time of my life. But then every time else, every other week, it's like we clash and we don't match, and I would hate that for anyone. Wow, that was a big rant. Oh, I hate boomer humor when it comes to marriage and kids and relationships. And this is where that was going. That's my opinion for that. That being said, I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Sure, there are things in there that I don't agree with, but that shouldn't really matter as long as it's portrayed in a way of learning or understanding. That's kind of the point, isn't it? That's kind of the point of reading books. That's kind of the point of the human experience, to experience other people, their issues, their trauma, their beliefs, why they believe these things. That's the whole thing. And nowadays, people are so obsessed with, if you aren't with me, you're against me. If you don't agree with everything I say, you are my enemy. And that is a mindset that I hope I never fall into. Long story short, I really enjoyed this book. Go pre-order it. It's really good. It kept me entertained throughout the whole thing. And I caught myself going, oh, good for you, man. Well, good for you, Greg. You do that. You tell her. I was getting into it like it's some kind of trash TV show. But it's not trash. Sorry, it's not trash. It is definitely not. And it's, I want to say it's more on the PG-13 side because there are fade to black scenes. So, and language, whatever. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good book. It's really thought-provoking. It gives you a lot to chew on. It makes you look at yourself and think about how you treat other people. Because you should treat other people how you want to be treated, right? You shouldn't go hot and cold on them and then expect them to be the perfect specimen and expect them to never, ever let you down. Because that's not what it is. We're human. We need room for forgiveness. We need room to let people in. And I know it hurts sometimes. It's something we all have to learn because we all get hurt. I liked this book a lot. It gave me a lot to think about. It would give you a lot to think about. If you enjoy fiction at its finest, a romance that will teach you lessons and teach you about yourself and maybe past relationships you've been in, or even if you might be in a relationship that isn't so good, maybe it'll give you room to work that out and think about it. Other than that, I really enjoyed this book. I hope I didn't spoil too much of it. I really, really liked it, and links in the description, so it's in the descriptions in the description. Can't talk anymore. Anyway, that was a really long rant. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye!